So it is primary night across the United States tonight as the midterm outlook looks to be changing daily as Democrats' blue wave prospects have shrunk in one of the polls. It's around +3, +4, +6 in some if you look across them. And a top GOP PAC is saying actually if the midterms were held today, they think they would keep the House. So are they right? Here's what we find out tonight. 4 states on the board: Pennsylvania, Nebraska, Idaho, and Oregon. The polls close in less than an hour in Pennsylvania, where current House GOPer and Trump supporter Lou Barletta hopes to beat fellow Republican Jim Christiana in the primary there to win that nomination. And the winner will go up against incumbent Democratic Senator Bob Casey. The Casey name obviously is storied and has a long history in Pennsylvania, so that's going to be a tough one for Republicans, and it is clearly one to watch. Here now, political experts. Chris Stirewalt, Fox News politics editor, and Mo Elleithee, executive director of Georgetown University's Institute for Politics. Gentlemen, great to see both of you tonight.
Howdy, ma'am.
Hello there, sir. Chris, let me start with you. Tell me what you're watching closely tonight.
Well, in addition to, so we've got 6 races on our Fox News power rankings that are competitive in Pennsylvania. That's 6 House races. Democrats could come out of there with as many as a net 4. Republicans are ceding a lot of territory, but it's going to depend a lot on how these primaries go. In the 1st district, that's a great example. That's one that is a little harder for Democrats to flip. It's an incumbent Republican who doesn't have a ton of baggage, and the district is okay, but they're having a tough primary. It's getting bitter. They have the kind of candidate that national Democrats want. She's a former Republican. She's a moderate. She's a veteran. She's an attorney. She's a young woman. But she's up against an entrenched local force, a trial lawyer, got a lot of money. They've been duking it out. It's races like that that will determine whether Democrats have the horses they need to knock off Republicans and turn it from a good year to a great year for them.
Yeah. Mo, one of the things that people are looking at is that there's a flood of Democrats in these primaries, and the concern for your party that there may be too many, that they might dilute each other's chances and cancel each other out.
Oh, I don't know about that. I mean, you know, the fact that there's so many Democratic candidates jumping into these races, right? I mean, there are Democratic candidates running in districts that the party hasn't fielded a candidate in decades in some cases. I think that just, it speaks to the energy that Democrats are feeling right now. I mean, and we've been seeing this throughout the course of all these special elections and now through the primary season where Democratic turnout is up. Oftentimes significantly outperforming what's been happening in the past. Democratic money's up in Democratic candidates.
Just a second. Yeah. I want to. Corey Bliss, interesting, from the Congressional Leadership Fund. They're trying to keep the House on the Republican side. This is Kevin McCarthy and Paul Ryan's PAC. They are feeling pretty optimistic from what they're seeing right now. And he's saying that his advice to Democrats, if they want to win, is don't nominate progressives, don't talk about impeachment, and don't talk about Russia. Are you concerned that Democratic candidates are spending too much time on those 3 things?
No, because I'm actually not hearing that from most Democratic candidates in the races that they're running. If you look at the ads that most Democratic candidates in these competitive seats are running, they're not talking about impeachment and they're not talking about Russia. They're talking primarily about economic issues and bread and butter issues and drawing contrast with the Republican candidates. They are going after President Trump pretty aggressively, but that's only part of the equation for them. We saw that with Connor Lamb in that special election upset earlier this year, and we're seeing it in a lot of these races across the country. So that's where I expect most of the candidates in these real swing districts like the ones we're seeing in Pennsylvania will land.
Yeah, Chris, Republicans are raising a lot of money. That CLF, $71 million versus $2 million in the same cycle last time around. The American Action Fund has similar growth. Can that money put them over the top in some of these races?
So it's good to have national money. National money is great, but it comes with national direction. What the Democrats have comparably this year is they have on the race-by-race level. Democrats have turned out to be better at raising money on the candidate-by-candidate basis. You saw it with Connor Lamb versus Rick Saccone is a good example, where you had all this national corporate money and it flowing through a big spigot to try to help him out, whereas Connor Lamb was getting direct money. And generally, generally. There are idiots on every level, but generally speaking, the candidates closest to the people closest to the race are better at knowing what the race needs, so the Democrats do have that going for them.
All right, so Chris, what do you think? You know, when you look at these numbers and the advantage for Democrats has narrowed in polls over the recent weeks, is that meaningful to you?
So once upon a time, the Democrats are to a certain degree living with the false expectations that were set at the end of the year when things were just a total garbage fire for the Republicans. It's been a consistent 5, 6, 7 points, 7, 6, 5. It's been right in that space and average, and that's what it is. And if the election were held today, the Republicans might lose the House. They might keep it by a couple seats, but it would be on par with what we would have expected historically to see in presidential first-term midterms. Remember, the average loss of seats is 24, historically speaking. Republicans can only lose 23 and hold on to the House.
It's going to be very interesting. Thanks, you guys. Great to see you both tonight.
You bet.